Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan. Welcome, latest edition of our entertainment show, where we look at upcoming TV series and premieres that will be debuting here in Ireland and the UK later on in the year. And up for discussion now, we're looking at the iconic TV game Halo, as we know, for all Xbox and PlayStation lovers and online gaming lovers all over the world. Halo is one of the biggest action shoot 'em up franchise games that there is. It's played by millions all over the world. Many people have player up and have teams and battles. It's an iconic fan base, and people will be delighted to know that Halo is hitting the big TV screens. It's been adapted into a TV series now. And it's season 1 will have 9 episodes, and some of the stars of Halo will be Pablo Schreiber, who plays Master Chef, Yerin Ha, who plays Ko-Wan, Bokeem, Woodbine, who plays Soren 066. We've Jen Taylor, who plays Cortana, Bentley, Kalu, who plays Vanek B4. But we also have our own Irish influence in Halo, and Ireland sort of a presence in the iconic worldwide game. He plays the character Adun, the one and only Ryan McParland. And I suppose, first of all, Ryan, are you a gamer? Are you a computer guy? Are you an Xbox, PlayStation lover? And if you are you the FIFA type, or are you, most dominantly, are you the Halo type?
Jim, thank you so much for having me, buddy. What an awesome introduction. I'm a huge gamer, Jim, massive gamer ever since I was a kid. Mr. Claus very kindly got all of us a PlayStation.
Like a Mega Drive, I suppose, to start off with.
Yeah, it was the Mega Drive. I remember the old Nintendo and playing old games like Super Mario Kart. And there was another one, I think maybe Street Fighter, I played probably quite early on. I remember vividly playing one Christmas Die Hard trilogy, which was a lot of fun. And any chance I was off school, I would stick it on and try and you had to kind of get to the elevator, I think, at the end of the round in order to get a level up, you know what I mean, on Nakatomi.
I remember it.
You remember it. You remember it. It's awesome. So I remember playing it, Jim, and yeah, I played a lot of FIFA for sure this last couple of years, and then my brother got me into Pro Evolution Soccer. Do you know Pro Evolution Soccer?
Yeah.
So I mainly play, in terms of football games, I mainly play PES with my brothers and friends online. But yes, I knew the video game as well, Jim. It was so big, so popular when I was at high school. Fond memories of being at friends' houses, playing football in the back garden, and then rushing into the house, everybody barreling in for a cup of juice, and on went the Xbox. And that was my first introduction to Halo, 20 years ago, whatever it is, early 2000s. So yeah, I think the opportunity to be in something like this, something so iconic, Jim, all these years later, coming from a small rural village in Ireland, is it's the stuff that dreams are made of, it feels,
I suppose, Ryan, the one thing about it is when you have blockbuster sort of video franchises, and you mentioned Street Fighter, you mentioned the likes of maybe Tekken, we see Mortal Kombat there, the massive appeal, the demand. It was sold out before it even arrived in the cinema, as such was the demand for it, the gaming sort of culture as that. But obviously with Halo, people are saying word gets around that there's a TV sort of series coming. That sort of video fan base comes in its droves on top of the sort of TV sort of fan base. And obviously then to try and sort of relate the actors to sort of characters. So obviously it gives you a sort of presence out there straight away, that you're being seen by millions and millions of people that obviously will tune in, whether they like it or not. They will tune in to see the representation of Halo on their TV screens, and they'll probably be the biggest critics of all, I suppose, the video gamers.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Halo fans, Jim, they're incredible fans, some of the best fans in the world, and it's such a privilege, such an honor to be a part of bringing this iconic story to life. Somebody asked me out in Los Angeles at the premiere, you know, did you feel the pressure of bringing a story like this, something that's so iconic, that's been around a long time, huge fan base? And that's how I kind of, you know, that's how I described it. You know, it's an honor, a privilege for me personally as an actor from Ireland to be a part of something like this. And you know, and it's the kind of, it's the cherry on top being a gamer myself, you know. So it's incredibly surreal, Jim, to be honest. Such a surreal experience, you know.
And what was the season one? Obviously, there's so much in
Yeah.
Halo, so much sort of
Yeah.
storylines. What was
Yeah.
the sort of take that you took on it in terms of season one, in terms of the script? Is it concurring episodes that run into each other? Is there a certain team going through season one, or are they very much standalone episodes with a beginning, a middle, and an end?
No, it's a you know, it's a story that exists within its own timeline, Jim. It's the silver timeline, and obviously it follows, you know, iconic characters. Master Chief, played by Pablo, Dr. Catherine Halsey, played by the incredible Natasha McElhone, Cortana, played by Jen Taylor, is going to be in there as well, you know. And the character that I play, Jim, is an original character called Adun Sally. And Adun is the assistant to Dr. Catherine Halsey, who created the Spartan program. And together we've been trying to kind of understand the significance of an artifact that has been unearthed early on in the season. So, you know, I work kind of very closely with Halsey to try and piece together why the Covenant forces, which is the aliens effectively, have such a unique interest in the artifacts. That kind of lays the groundwork for the season, the first season, you know.
And I suppose with Halo, it's a shoot 'em up with aliens and all that. There's an awful lot of gore as sort of such as that. How you been able to represent that in terms of the sort of a TV screen in terms of that? And dare I say, are there sort of maybe peripheral sort of guest characters that come in and met with sort of fairly gruesome deaths?
Well, look, Jim, I can't say too much, buddy. Honestly, I can't say too much. But what I can say is that, you know, I hope the show will, you know, really live up to fans' expectations. You know, it's been in the works a long, long time. Steven Spielberg has been trying to get it off the ground, and it's went through many different versions over the years with different people attached to direct. And so, yeah, we wanted to live up to the expectations, and we also want to provide a really unique adventure for newcomers to the franchise that, you know, maybe wouldn't be that familiar with the video games or the books or the Halo lore, you know. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a wonderful mix of action and I can't say too much, but also some really wonderful drama. And you know, it's a real adventure. I think it's going to be a real adventure.
I suppose from Halo to something that you can really talk a good bit about now, because it's already been out there. So Belfast, I suppose, as a northern boy yourself, Ryan, something close to your heart. Obviously, we all know the history. Very much. So when you see that script, it's nothing new in terms of imagining and envisioning what those sort of times were like back in Belfast in those sort of days. I suppose an Irish guy playing a role in Belfast, I suppose, did you know yourself how good the movie was when you saw the script, or in terms of filming, did you realize, right, this is something that is really, really going to take off here and is going to capture the audience of people outside the country of Ireland, which it has done. It has taken global effect in terms of being nominations and sort of awards and sort of such, that people are intrigued by the story of Belfast outside of Ireland.
I personally haven't yet seen the film, Jim. I've just, you know, I've been following closely the kind of the absolute wonderful recognition that the film's been kind of getting all across the globe. I mean, we touched on it just before the interview. You know, when I dropped out of high school, one of the first places that I started working in the theater was in Belfast, you know, and, you know, it's a place that's been incredibly close to my heart as a young person. And I was very fortunate recently back in 2018 to go back and do a one-man show, premiering at the Mark Theatre in Belfast, a play called East Belfast Boy, written by a wonderful playwright called Fintan Brady. And you're reminded of why it's an incredible city and, full of brilliant people. And, it was awesome to be back on stage. I hadn't been on stage in a couple of years. But it was awesome to be back on stage. And then we took the show in early 2019 on an Irish tour, played all over the place, played at Angrenin and Donegal. We played at Waterford, we played in Cork at the Everyman, and then we kind of came back round to the Project Art Centre in Temple Bar in Dublin, So yes, of course, it's incredible what the film has done. What Kenneth Branagh has done and everybody involved. And yeah, whenever I get back to Ireland, it's on the list of things to watch for sure, Jim,
You want to watch it in person rather than cheat and stream it online, I suppose.
No, I'd like to go to the cinema, Jim. I'd love to, I want to see it in the cinema. So a film like that, it's that has to be a cinematic experience,
Yeah. And I suppose, Ryan, we're out of the sort of COVID pandemic. I suppose it's still there, very much there in the background, but it's very much back to the day job in terms of all people, and especially for actors as well, like yourself.
Yeah.
And we spoke about Halo coming out in Paramount Plus in the UK fairly soon. Is there any other projects in the pipeline, recurring TV roles, movies that maybe you can give us, maybe not too much away, but that we might be seeing on our TV screens in the near future?
I was very, very fortunate to be asked to be a small part of a film called Ballywalter, which was directed by a good friend of mine, Prasanna Puwanaraju, who I worked with in London 10 odd years ago. And he has directed, it's his debut feature film, a film called Ballywalter, which is a kind of a bittersweet comedy sort of set in Northern Ireland. So I did that about a year and a half ago, and I think that's going to be coming out soon. More recently than that, I worked with the incredible Rosie Jones in London about 3 months ago on a pilot for Channel 4, which is set in Hull. And that was some of the most incredible writing that I've came across in a long, long, long time. So we're hopeful that will get the green light from Channel 4. And that was it. It was great to be back doing comedy, Jim. I hadn't done any comedy really in a couple of years. I've ended up through one sort of way or another, ended up playing sort of more serious, darker roles this last couple of years and stuff. So it was a breath of fresh air to get back to my roots, which is kind of comedy. And I'm incredibly fortunate to have been asked to have been a part of that project, so.
Yeah. And I suppose final question for me, Ryan, and we're going back to Halo again. And I suppose in terms of the video game, obviously these sort of video games, they pretty much movies in terms of sort of storylines. And one of the big things for when people appear in sort of TV series or movies adaptation, when it comes around 2 years down the line and there's demand for the next incarnation of Halo on the video screen, voiceovers become very prominent. And would that be something that interests you in terms of going forward to stay involved in the Halo franchise and maybe doing a voiceover of the character of Adun and maybe making that cross to the video game sort of section as well?
I'd love to, Jim. I'd love to. Like gaming and games have been such a big part of my life. Sort of running alongside sport. And so, yeah, if I got the opportunity to voice something, I'd love to. You know what I mean? It's for sure a dream, for sure a passion. It would be an honor to voice something and to continue being a part of the show and stuff, but I guess people will have to tune in to see how it unfolds at the end of season 1, but it's incredibly exciting, Jim, incredibly exciting. And it's still very much a pinch me moment every couple of days. Like I said, you come from such a small village in rural Ireland. I never would have thought that something like this would have been possible for myself. So it's a real privilege, and I'm very proud to be a part of the show. Very, very, very much so.
Ryan, on that note, time has caught up with us.
Awesome.
We are very much looking forward to seeing when it debuts on Paramount UK. And personally, we're all looking forward to see the representation from the video screen to the big game. We look forward to looking at further sort of roles. And no doubt, again, Ryan will speak to you sometime in the near future. But for the moment, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
You too, buddy. Thank you so much for having me. Take care, Jim. Thanks so much.
Cheers.